uh, as this today's topic is this, I am discussing this long short-term memory networks (LSTMs). So these are a special type of RNN. So we'll focus on this concept. What is RNN? Uh, it is a very what you can say quite researched, but maybe in our research fraternity we see backup BPNN networks or multi-layer perceptrons, but these RNNs are also specific types of network. They are having specific use and we are having day-to-day applications. For example, when you use this Google Translate or when you give some command to Google, then you say and the Google responds to you. So technically, there are these RNNs and LSTMs are used for sequential kind of translation or data prediction kind of thing. So these LSTMs I will discuss in a bit length. Okay, and then I will discuss what COVID-19 problems we are actually considering, means where this data came from, another thing, and what kind of data is used for training, what frameworks we have used. Then we'll have a demo. If time permits up to this thing, then fine. We'll stop after this demo. If some time is there, then if time is there, then we'll have a demo of one ML ensemble technique also. We'll briefly discuss what is ensemble technique and then we'll end. So that is the second part, optional part for today's network, because this is a continuation of this LSTMs only. So ensemble, what are ensemble? If at least theoretically, I will explain you this technique, maybe because it is the continuation of the thing, and then we'll conclude. So I had maybe one raised hand, but I think it was by mistake. So if you have any doubt, maybe at the end of the session you can ask. If a critical doubt is there, you can put it on chat. So it is not visible to me. Then you can see. Okay, so let us go ahead. So neural networks is the main or building block or the smallest brick that we are having here. So what neural networks? Yeah, we are having raise hand. So Pratibha Rana, if you have any questions, it is I can see here. So you can unmute and ask the question.
Hello, ma'am. If you have any question, you may proceed, ma'am.
Yes, sir, actually, now it is not there in the chat box. So as soon as we will receive the questions,
Okay,
I will continue.
you can relay the question to me. I will now go by the normal flow of presentation. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so these neural networks, what they basically do is that they can model any kind of function, any linear, non-linear function, provided you have enough number of layers, enough number of neurons, and then you define the error margin. That's why they are actually very famous, because in case of the statistical methods, if you want to classify kind of thing, you have to approximate the function, okay, with what you can say linear, non-linear combinations of functions. But for neural networks, technically there is one word which will come later. There is no need of explicit programming. Okay, there is no need of explicit programming for the model. We need to program neural network, but for the other thing we do, there is no need. We can just go on what you can say adding the layers or nodes, and then neural network will approximate the function. Or this is the key idea behind this thing. And this machine learning, what it does is that this is just one another definition. There are hundreds of definition, but it will provide you with the process to define the network and train the network. This is the excerpt of what is put on the screen. So it will give you the template, find the best parameters, then code the template, what you can say, implement, create the neurons, connect the layer. Then there are algorithms for that, train that thing, and then neural network is built. But this is overall process is given by the machine learning and this AI and deep learning. So AI mainly deals with the mimicking of human activities, and it is mainly having what you can say a set of rules, then procedures which are defined. So this is mainly what it will be at the highest level. Neural networks, deep learning, they cannot decide on their own. They will just classify, they will give you the results, and then AI techniques, they will decide what action to be taken based on the what you can say input which are coming from machine learning and deep learning algorithms. So here in a nutshell, it is put on the screen. You can see that this ML, DL, they are coming under the hierarchy of this AI. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And here you can see machine learning focuses on the development of computer programs that can access data and use it for themselves, and there is no need for explicit programming for the things. This is very important. Okay, so that's why we can now here also we can see that this COVID-19 problem, we are having the exponential rise in this patient. So technically, one mathematical model can be written, maybe a hyperbolic function, and okay, it will now go on predicting the thing. But for that, we need to first understand that okay, this is a parabolic or hyperbolic kind of data is there, and then we can write equations for that. But and then these equations will have to be converging for that model. So there is a calculation, prediction, coding is there. But for machine learning, we don't need to understand what kind of nature of data is there initially. We have to just give data as a training machine, then this network will understand this, and they will model themselves for the coming steps for the input data. This is the idea. So again, coming back to the deep learning and how it has become what you can see in the focus. So it is not this machine learning or deep learning, it is not new thing, because now for if you have seen almost now from 2010 onwards, there is an heavy rise in the publication. These are actually, these graphs tells you what you can say, this is a timeline at one part, and it is a number of publications. So you can, here you can see this part is having significant rise in the publication count in the machine learning and deep learning what you can say domain. So what has enabled this thing? Okay, it is not that why it is not, I'll say, consistent or kind of thing. Why after a certain period there is a specific what you can say uh, growth, we can see that thing, because long back in 1950 this McCulloch and Pitt model came, and then there were variation, different types were proposed in theory, they were implemented also on computers. But as there has been some changes or new techniques has been in practice, and because of that these things have evolved. So technically 1980s era neural network and current neural network, they have what you can say, one peculiar change is that here you could model, you could have few layers, few hidden layers or single hidden layers in older network, and now you can have multiple hidden layers. So why these things are possible is that because when you go on adding hidden layers, the computational complexity goes on increasing, and it needs more and more compute power and time in order to get this thing done with more number of hidden layers. So technically this network and this network both are the same, and not exactly, I'll say that same category, and they are not in the same as far as performance is considered, because definitely more hidden layers will add more better capability of approximating the input function, and the model will be better predicting the data. So here, because we are capable of now adding more hidden layers, these layers are going deep, hence the name deep learning is here. So this is also artificial neural network, this is also artificial neural network, but idea is that this is deep neural network. And why? Because there are more layers, and it can understand more hidden features of the input data, and can go for better understanding and identification and classification of the input data. So these large volumes of data with increase in the storage, what you can say, availability, then compute resources. Now today we are going to have this demonstration on Google Colab. So this Google Colab, typically it gives 12 GB of RAM and special tensor units for execution of this neural network. So technically, when I run the program, it will be running in the browser, and this browser will be running the program on the Google Cloud. So that has enabled myself also. So I am also inclined that I don't have to worry about the compute resource at my end. So I have this laptop, and this laptop is having maybe 8 GB of RAM, but Google is allowing me to run the same program on 12 GB of RAM with special say TPUs, which are program design hardware which is designed for handling the tensor operations, which are part of this deep neural networks. And along with that, new algorithms, because these LSTMs, they were introduced in around 1967 70s. So these, they also added to this. Then this will come in the next slide. We'll discuss that what different types of neural networks are there. So overall, this has fueled the growth for this deep learning and its research. Okay, so that's why this deep learning algorithm, what they do, they correlate and then reduce, they abstract the function, they correlate, they find information which is relevant, which is not relevant, remove the information which is not relevant, and keep the information which is relevant through the hidden layers and its approximations. So here you can see various types. There are much more, what you can say, various types of neural networks are available, but I have just put in this what I can say slide a very few key neural networks. Okay, the other networks, this slide was actually very big, but for today's discussions, so here we are having the perceptron networks, then feed forward networks, this type of RBF, the radial basis function neural networks are also there, and here recurrent networks. So I will just briefly discuss why recurrent networks and why perceptrons. Hmm? That will discuss. Okay. So perceptrons are mainly, we will use these perceptrons for function approximation or classification when all the data which is available to you, and you can use this data for training and for classification. Again, when you predict something, so that data is also for prediction, that data is also available with you. So that data is present at one hand. When in case of recurrent networks, as the name suggests, these networks are recurring. So these networks can predict the data even in future which will come to you. So for example, see, I will just give example of this perceptron networks or with feedforward networks, is that kind of image data is there. Okay, where you are having this image at one go, you are having at your hand, and maybe a cat image or dog image, so you train the network with 100 cat image, 100 dog image, and then when new cat image comes, you can see that okay, cat image is there with me, and please identify. Now you will not say cat image, you please identify this image, network will say okay, it is cat or dog, and whatever the accuracy is there. In case of recurrent networks, the data will always keep on coming. For example, the stock market, or today's like this, we have this COVID data. So whatever today we'll see, the example is for May, June, July data, but today also COVID cases are also there. So whatever the network performance, that should be also there for today's, what you can say, and that data was not available with me when I was designing and predict, or what you can say, training the network. But network should work on that data also, that data should be predicted by the network based on what I gave as the input, nature or trend of data, which is important. So RNN, LSTM, GRUs are gated recurrent units. So they, all these networks, they are coming in this category, sequential, what you can say, networks which are recurrent and they work on sequential data. So this is for what you can say, under focus for today's discussions. Yeah. So here I just briefly told you this thing, that if a simple feed forward network is good when patterns are given to it. Okay, with set. So here you can see technically a pattern of 8 is given to the network, and then network is identifying this set. So all this, what you can say, uh, this data, this, what you can say, pixels were with you while predicting. But here you can see these are the stock market data, and it has got its trend. So maybe till 2020 I am having this data. So based on this, can I predict the data in this window, or can I predict what will be the data, whether your network will be, your stock market will be going down or going up, or what will be the range that I should be able to predict. So there are statistical methods also, and here one of these are techniques which will go on trend of network. So network will say, okay, in this stage, the network is likely to be. But yes, there might be some unseen event, like today we are having COVID situation. So in the month of March, if you look at the stock market, this in the month of March, the stock market plummeted heavily because of the lockdown implemented. And so this was unseen trend. But technically, if you know that, okay, market is having in this, what you can say, maybe in the June, July, or July, August, or August, September, that past data if I have, I can always predict the future data, and this is what the RNNs are good at. Okay, so that they mainly go with the trend of past data. This kind of operation also very much important when you are having kind of translation kind of data, or generation of text kind of data. Based, if you give some, what you can say, like these neural networks, they are actually used for predicting or generating a paragraph or generating a description of the image, where these pattern recognition networks, they are not capable of doing that. Okay. So let us go ahead with this recurrent neural network. So what these recurrent neural networks, they are several types of network where they consider the current input as well as past input. And at any given point of time, what will happen that current input state will always be there, but past states are also required. Past data is also required. That makes this network, what you can say, special as compared to your multi-layer perceptron, or what you can say feed forward network of the MLP type. They have everything. And when you actually go on training for the back propagation, they will always take the what you can say data from that particular, what you can say, pattern only. Past patterns are not important, but here current input and previous hidden state, previous inputs are very much important, and they will generate the current state and output. So here you can see this network is always designated like this thing: input, activation function, and output, and it will always have the data. So here actually in between state, what do you mean by past input? Here you can see, now when I say that x2 I am going to give as input, and to the activator means this decision box, then it is going to be taking, normal network will take x2 as input only, but this network, recurrent network, will take x2 as well as previous hidden state of the last input. This is change, and this network will take its past, like this thing. So technically it is going to take, it is, and then it is based on that it will predict the next, what you can say, output. But technically this next output is driven by all past output. Try to understand. So it is something like that. I live in India and I know Hindi. So when I say that I live in India, okay, then if you say just come to know, I know, which language you are going to predict? English is very common, mainly all people know that thing. But Hindi is our national language. So I know Hindi is a better prediction. So I live in India, I know Hindi, they go. So if you know that I live in India, if you know, technically a person can immediately say that I know Hindi. So based on I live in India, I can say that always I know English, I know Hindi. But if I say I live in United States and I know, what you can say, Hindi, if I say language in the context, English is the better, because I say already predicted that, or I already specified that I live in United States. Hence, I know English becomes more important. This is the meaning of, what you can say, past input or previous hidden state, and they are influencing the next output. So this is the concept, quite complex concept is there. Generally, when we have this normal multi MLP networks, here you can see back propagation concept is there. So current data, we are having this target, and there is a error because we predict something, then there is error, and based on this error, we have to adjust the weight. So we back propagate. Okay, we back propagate this, what you can say, error, and then sigma, delta, all this, and then we update the weights, and again we go with the next cycle, again backpropagation cycle. So this is the normal network, this multi-layer perceptrons, pattern recognition networks, they do the back propagation for that training. Now in case of this recurrent neural network, we have concept of back propagation through time, BPTT, back propagation through time. This is very important because it will back propagate through all the previous state for learning of the next step. So this is important. So it will allow you to accumulate past input and take this past input for the learning of what I am going to predict in the future. This is very important concept, because based on this, if you understand, I understand that it is very difficult to understand in one go, but in conclusion, what I will like to do or state to make you understand, in order to predict this recurrent network for the future, what you can say, data, this recurrent neural network try to gather the knowledge from all the past state, not all the past state, that is the relevant one, because that will actually drive to the LSTMs also. So they try to what you can say, remember what has happened in the past states, and then take that, what you can say, information, in terms of weights and what you can say the parameters, and accumulate this accumulated information will be used for prediction of the next state. So not only current iteration but past iteration data is also there, past states data is also there, past inputs data is also there, because we are talking about the sequential and sequential input which are coming in stream. Okay, technically when we say that okay, this backpropagation and normal MLP network patterns are given, the patterns are always same, and for one pattern it will go through an update, then next pattern will go through an update, third pattern go through an update, like this thing for your given it will continue, and epochs will be there, again it will go through the same pattern. So technically these all patterns are given at one go to all neurons. Here the one input for the current state is given today's, then sorry, for 1 week you can send a Monday to Saturday, so Saturday, Friday, Thursday, then like this thing data will be coming, so Saturday is the latest one, this data will come, then and then back progression to time will happen here. So I try to maybe at my capacity I try to put this concept here. Why this concept is important? Because based on this concept LSTMs are derived. So that's why you can say that here is activation function. So xt and your what activation at t will always depend on activation at t minus 1. It will be generated. So that context will be generated from the past. So this is the thing which enables network to predict also, and they differentiate themselves from what you can say these MLP networks. So here you can see the sequential or backpropagation to time can be seen in this animation. So how the states are filled, and what is happening is that it is, you can see that this they are filled here, but technically every unit is taking input and giving this what you can say current output to the next, and every cell is taking past state output here. So past output is given in this direction, current input is given in this direction, and this is what back propagation through time is happening. So this is the concept. Now next we'll go through the limitation. We'll just go through that. So this is what happens. The neural, this RNN face the problem of. This is called actually vanishing and exploding gradient. This is also there and in this our conventional neural networks also. But here what happens that in case of this neural network which are recurrent, as the time will progress, these gradients which will influence the future prediction, they will go on diminishing. So they will go less and less significant. It is something like that I forgot what I ate in last month first date, because I don't remember, but yesterday I remember that okay, maybe I eat some I ate milk, I drank milk, or maybe rice and dal and chawal, that I know that. So yesterday's memories are very clear with me, but last month first date memory is not clear with me because my brain has forgotten that. Same thing, this is the actually vanishing gradient. So neural, these RNNs also suffer with that. So what happened is that for this prediction, for latest prediction, the influence of this cell becomes very less. So how it is important? I say that I live in India and I know language Hindi. So if I know that I live in India, if I forget India, I know language Hindi. So Hindi prediction will, I may say that it will say that I know Polish language. Though the India was mentioned, it can predict based on the other trains Polish language. So this becomes important that I should remember India somewhere, because India is very important term for the prediction purpose. And this will be hampered because of this vanishing gradient, as they will be they will become less relevant. Exploding and vanishing gradient, some gradients may go on high influencing even if they are not significant, and some gradients will go on not influencing even if they are significant. So for that reason, that's what is this vanishing gradient is the problem. And here that's why this network, they suffer with short-term memory. Okay, short-term memory problem. This I gave, this is a French example. I gave example of India. So that's why you can say I live in France and I know French. But if short-term memory is there, it will forget France and it will say that I know Hindi. So that is a problem, and this problem will result into short-term memory of this RNAs. And to address this problem, we have this LSTMs. We have this long short-term memory network. Okay, so the name is like this thing, long short-term memory network. So the memory of this network is long, and these are the RNA with short-term memory also. Why? Because context is also important. So key part they will remember, irrelevant part they will forget, and they will predict in case of in the context. So that's why this, so LSTMs are designed, or they were actually proposed to address the problem with the short-term memory networks. Okay, or this sorry, RNAs with short-term memory. So how they are doing this thing, that we'll just briefly discuss, and then we'll go for demo. Okay. So again, lots of technicalities there, but I will just briefly make you understand. So this is a typical LSTM cell. So what is cell? I will just go back. I will tell you. So these are all RNA cells. This recurrent networks, they will always work in this sequential cells. Like these neurons are there in multilayer perceptrons. Similarly, here we are having the cells. So these cells, they are individual units, and these cells are always, these networks are built in cells. So we'll have to specify how many cells you will have to work on. So these cells are there, and they are the building units. So one cell will have what you can say, for in case of LSTMs, previous past input, past cell state, and it will always predict the current input and current cell state, and current output and current cell state. Xt will be the current input. So x1, x2, xt, like x3, these are the input data. So it will accept the data and it will try to predict the thing. So what makes the LSTM powerful, and how it will mitigate the problem of short-term memory network? So based on this, what you can say graph, I will explain. I have added the slides also, but I have to also look at the time. So LSTM has got this for gate. It is LSTM cell has multiple gates. Okay, so these are the sigmoid function, hyperbolic tan function, and then the addition, concatenation, and your multi dot product is there. This is the dot product, this is the concatenation, this is a tan hyperbolic, what you can say functions are there to combine the previous various, what you can say, these are all tensors, ct, ht, then current ct and ht, these are all tensors. They are having, they need to be operated accordingly. So forget gate is very important. This forget will decide what to remember, what to forget. So if I say that for some reason India is the important word for from the past, I should preserve the state India and remove everything. So this is the just example. That's why forget gate will decide what to remember, what to forget. So if I say that for some reason India is the important word, so forget gate will decide based on this previous cell state, previous HT, and current input, how much of this tensor should I pass. Let me see, it is showing me my tensor, my network is unstable. Let me just go through the check of my network. If you are having issue in locating my desktop, just let me know on audio. Do you have problem?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Okay, okay. Because I got the notification that my network connection was unstable. So it may happen. So maybe the organizer can call me on mobile phone, and then so that I can switch the net connection. I can run it on my mobile phone. Let it be. We'll continue.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes.
Yes, this forget gate is very important part of this overall HTML cell. So it will decide based on this past output, past cell state, how much I should remember from the past and pass it on for my current calculation. This input gate will decide from this, what you can say, overall cell output of the forget gate, how I should give the current. This is all neural network. Again, this sigmoid function and this neural network, but neural network arranged in gate format. So for that one, what you can say, slide will come in future. But yes, forget get decide. Or it is the main thing which will decide what is to remember, what not to remember. This makes the RNNs long short-term memory networks. So this will carry the memory for a longer time. Hence the name long short-term memory network. So yeah, this just I discuss. So forget gate will decide what to do, what not to do, and output gate will from this input it will take on the next step. So this is the summary. So forget gate overall this is another plot. What you can say, forget gate, input gate, and output gate. This builds and this enables the capacity of remembering the relevant data. So what you can, this is the theory behind what you can say this LSTM. We will have this what you can say build the network. Technically we'll use the one framework, Keras is there. I will discuss that also. So this is the pseudo code. So what are the way, technically this pseudo code is taken care by this Keras for implementation of the cell. So for time being, I will share this PPT with all of with the organizers, but for discussion purpose, we'll go for the demo. So this is a slide which I was actually talking of. This pseudocode and this slide, this go together hand in hand, and the function detailing is there. So I just said these are the neural networks. So here you can see these all neural network equations are there, what they are used for prediction purpose. So with this, we'll just now this completes the LSTM basics. Okay, LSTM is very what you can say detailed discussion. But with this, I will just conclude in this direction is that this is single LSTM cell. Such multiple cell network is built, concat or they are actually sequenced together, and to these cells, the sequential data is given as input, and it will predict the next state or next data. So for this prediction purpose, let us see what problem is there with us. So we are having this problem of COVID-19. So here you can see from day 0 where the first patient was found to day 175. So today now almost the 280 or 300 days are there. But now this data I got from this John Hopkins University. So it is data is having, you can say, global confirmed cases, global deaths, global recovery, Indian confirmed cases, India death, India recovery, US confirmed cases, US death, US recovery. So technically it is having data of all the countries. But from that vast data for the prediction purpose, I have taken this 9 features. You can say that 9 dimensions are here. So every, what you can say, this dimension is a sequence. Here you can see that global confirmed cases, then global death, then global recovery, then Indian confirm Indian, then Indian recovery, US confirm, like this thing. So that's why here somewhere these are the global parameters, and as now individual parameters of India and US are here. So what is the idea is that based on this is the trend of this COVID cases, can I predict what will happen from 150 day onwards? Can I say that okay, this many now here I was now here I don't know what will happen in the future here. That's why when this instance was there, I don't know what is going to happen here. So can my network predict what will be the tentative number of cases here, so that I can make accordingly arrangement of this thing. So again, some argument might be there. Okay, these things are quite what you can say straightforward. But in case of stock market, if I have large number of the governing parameters, then I can predict the next what will be the range of stock market in the month of January. Then definitely there are future and option calls which will drive the what you can say my profit and my losses. That is the important part. So this is the idea of prediction, and I can say. So for this implementation purpose, two options are available, either TensorFlow or Keras or both. So here in for today's prediction or sorry today's implementation, I have used the Keras framework. Keras is a what you can say library built on TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a framework, for those who don't know. It is actually a framework. Now Google is developing TensorFlow. It allows you to build neural networks. It has got its own APIs and functionalities which will allow you to build multi-layer perceptron, even LSTMs and others. It will allow you to train this network, test this network, and it is built on Python. Currently now we'll be using TensorFlow on Python. Keras is also what I can say TensorFlow libraries, high level APIs. So what Keras allows is that it is again abstraction from the TensorFlow. So lower level is Python, then TensorFlow, and then on the top Keras libraries are there. So it provides you less customization, but highly what you can say abstracted API to build the neural network. So for today's this LSTM implementation, rather than implementing LSTM from scratch that we can also do, I will just briefly show the RNN. We'll directly use the Keras. Okay. So with this primer, let us go for this implementation details. So I will take this thing briefly in the demo also, but what are the steps when you build any kind of network, any kind, with be it multi-layer perceptron, be it what you can say convolutional neural networks, CNNs, or these LSTMs or sequential networks. These are the steps which are mandatory or more or less mandatory. I'll say that everyone goes through this. So define the model, build the model, then model evaluation and experimentation, then productionize the model. So productionize means what? You have to actually host the model and predict the thing, test the model, deploy the model, and this cycle will continue. So this is production is also implemented or will taken care here in this chart. For our demo, we are not going to take the production because like deploying on cloud and then doing the prediction, calling the model and saving the model, all these things are there. So today, define, then define, build, test, train, test, this what you can say methodology we are going to discuss. So let us go for demo. I will just stop this presentation and yeah. So I have stopped and again I will go for this. Just let me. So I am now sharing my screen. Hope you are getting my screen. So everything, whatever tabs and other things, it will be there on the screen because I will be switching between the tabs. So briefly now, I am not going to run this program, but what is a cell to make you understand? I will just show you because I just told you that Tensor Python coding. This is what you can see on the screen is a Colab window, Google Collaboratory window. It is Jupyter is a what you can say one program or this environment used for running the Python program. So this is a Jupyter interface is there, Jupyter interface, Jupyter notebook is there, and is a Python code which we can run on the Google Cloud, Google what you can say collaboratory clouds are there. Now when I say that I want to implement RNN, recurrent neural network, I'll just show you typical code here. You can say, yeah. So here you can see this is the typical code for single what you can say RNN cell and its building. So RNN cell here back propagation, these weights are propagated back and then they are trained forward pass, backward pass, update. You do no need to understand the thing technically what is there on the screen. Idea is that programming of a typical RNN involves the coding, then typical RNN and its cell. Now to do, we have one option, either do this thing, write this, code this, then club this and go ahead, or simply use the RNN model or the high level models which are used in Keras. So to do that, I will just briefly tell that here you can see on the screen layers and here LSTM and some count is there 10. So this instruction, this sentence will build one LSTM network with 10 cells like this, like this. This is one typical code for cell and its update algorithm. So like this thing, it will be, so this units understand all these things, they will be encompassed in that. So this is actually what abstraction is meant by. Abstraction is meant by. So hereafter, when I say that, okay, I have to design one LSTM with 100 cells, simply I will use this layers.lstm and I'll say 100. So it will build one 100 cell network and then it will be our job to train and go with that. So just we'll go through this 5 steps of this creating LSTM network. So when I just said connecting, so here you can say I have connected to this Google Google Cloud, and 0.98 GB of RAM. Sorry, I have used out of 12 GB. So 12 GB RAM equivalent machine I am running this program on. So this is a typical. Don't think that this is running on my laptop. It is running on the Google. So what you can say call the Google servers with 12 GB of RAM machine with special tensor units. So here you can see runtime, and I can change runtime types. Here you can see that GPU and TPU, both the things are available. So by default, I'm keeping it on my basic one. Okay. So first step is create environment. When we'll go through that, so we'll import the libraries which are required and define the network. When we say that define the network is the next step, what do you want to do? So I say that I want to define a network with 10 recurrent cells. So to do this thing, I'm having the sequential model, because LSTMs and RNNs are sequential. They come in the sequential type. It is a sequential type also, and sequential model definition of type means one layer is there, input layer, and then next output layer will come, and they are joined in a sequence. Excuse me. So I'm having model sequential. I have added one layer of 10 LSTM neurons, and then final dense layer for final prediction. So when run, it is giving me this model is built, and this is the description of the model. Then next step is compile. We'll go to the that important part later on, compilation of the network, where we now I will not do that because the model is not fully designed, where we whatever with the configuration that we have put, we compile the program. Similarly, we compile the network optimizer and other things. I hope that with AI and ML, you know the thing. Optimizer will tell the network how to this gradient descent, how to go with that gradient descent, what kind of functions you use for better learning. And loss is to find what is the difference between target and actual value, how to compute the loss. So here it is mentioned as MSE, but depending on your problem, it will define. So here optimizer is stochastic gradient descent, you can see, and these parameters for that. Compilation of network. Fitting of the network is the next step. That is with the input type data which is available to you, we give this data all input to this network and ask the network to learn the things, learn the for prediction purpose. And then once the model is fit, this model can predict, and based on available on the what you can say available testing data, you can evaluate the network. Once the things are ready, what you can see your parameter and your evaluation is good enough at your expectation, you can use the model for prediction. So 5 steps whenever you build any kind of model. First is create environment, define network, compile network, fit network, and evaluate network. These are the 5 steps are there, which are very much important for that kind of any kind of problem. So here now with this thing, I will just give you one demonstration of data. So here, rather than giving this, yeah. So for arbitrary sequence here, I will just do. So what I am doing here, I will share this notebook with you also. If you request, these people will request, I will share my email ID. I am always ready to share the code. So all this code will be given to you, those who are interested for their work. So one sequence is taken for training purpose. You can see here some numbers are there, which are exponentially increasing. And for this sequence, I want to train the network. So here 62 total numbers are there. And here these numbers are normalized. Min, max, norm is these networks, they need data which is normalized. Otherwise, what will happen? It will go on exploding. So this data is scaled to 0 to 1 range, where maximum number is taken as 1 and minimum numbers are accordingly scaled. So this network, then this network will be trained on this normalized data. So here you can see that this network, this data of 61 numbers, one sequence is here, and this is a shifted sequence. Here you can see for prediction. So if one input is there, what is the next, what is the next, what is the next. So once shifted, what I can say, the input I am generating for training purpose. So if I say that 0.295, so it should predict the next number as 1161 kind of thing, like this thing. So this is training data generation. Yeah. Here this network is defined. This network definition is here. So tf.keras.sequential, and we have discussed. Now here you can see two sequential hidden layers I have added, and length here you can see this 62 sorry 10 10 neurons I am using for uh, 10 time step I am using. Here you can, they are specified here. So LSTM with 10 cells and input shape of this I will discuss later on, because this is also important thing. One time step and one feature. This is also for your understanding purpose. For the COVID-19 problem we are going to discuss compiling the network, then fitting the network is on the training data. I am now giving this data for the training. Network is being trained through the predefined number of epochs. So here 100 epochs I gave. So this network is trained. I evaluate the network on the input data and predict. So model dot if I give input as X, what will be the prediction? Here it is just given. So don't worry what I can say input, what is output. Just from this building to the prediction, I just give one demo. Okay, the things are also there. But now here we'll take other important concept briefly, and then we'll discuss the COVID-19 prediction. Now, for those who are interested in working with LSTM, this is the concept that is very key. All of you should understand and make use of this thing, because to understand this concept, I have to go on through, I've gone through lots of programs and other things, but I am at my also best, I will try to make you understand. And this is again key part where other networks, they are changed. So when you want to train this LSTM, forget about COVID-19 or maybe any uh, maybe pulse prediction, heart rate prediction, brain activity prediction, any kind of thing, any kind of data, biomedical data you might have. So idea is that LSTM will always take the sequential data, any kind of sequence, any kind of sequence. And idea is that LSTM will always predict either single number in that sequence or multiple number in that sequence also. So sequence input, sequence output. Even multi-step sequence input is possible, multi-step sequence output is possible. This is the next thing you to understand. Third important thing that I want you to understand is that LSTM will always take the data, and you or otherwise you will have to arrange the data in the format of sample, time step and features. This is very important concept. Don't look at the screen, just close your eyes and try to understand what I am saying. LSTM will always take the data in sample, time step and features. Now what sample, what time step, what features, I will make you understand. So samples means what? When you want to give some training data. So if I say that for last 12 months, I have 12 market readings with me. So I am having 12 samples, 12 instances of that, what you can say, training data I'm having. So they constitute the sample. And try to understand every sample will have time step, because this is the important part where RNNs and conventional network differ. So every sample is going to have time step. What time step we'll discuss? We'll discuss. So LSTM is going to take samples. Sample are the past time instances. First thing. Don't read that on the screen. Just try to assimilate. What are the time step? Every sample will have time step. Try to understand. Every sample will have time step. Time step can be single, time step can be multiple. Okay, that's why we try to understand. For example, if I want to give data for translation purpose, and suppose we say that every sentence will have 10 words approximately. So there will be 10 time step for one sample. So 10 time step for one sample. So if I say for last 10 months or 12 months, I have 12 market reading for every month. But now every month has got how many weeks? 4 weeks. So what I will say that for every times, every instance, every sample, I have 4 weeks of data. I have 4 weeks of data, how the market has performed. So this will be time step. 1 month market, what you can say, average index. And in that, I say that, okay, for this 1 month, I have 4 weeks of data also. So for last 12 months, I should technically have 48 readings. So one sample having 4 time step. So this is a time step concept. And features. So what is features? So I will say that for every reading, means now I have sample consists time step, and for this every time step, I will say that I have Sensex reading, I have Nifty reading, I have Bank Nifty, I have commodity reading, I have gold price, I have rupee price. So 7 features are there. Okay. So this is, if you understand this thing, forget about this should be takeaway for today's session. If you understand this thing, you can easily understand LSTMs and use this thing for prediction purpose. These are very powerful tools. This should be takeaway for all the people, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 10. That's why I asked the count. Even if one person is interested, I'm happy. But this is the culmination or takeaway or excerpt of today's discussion. LSTM, because then you look at any kind of LSTM implementation, maybe on internet, on Google, you will try to understand and you will be linking that thing with this thing. So LSTM will always take data, and that's why we'll have to model the data in this format. Sample, time step, features. Sample, time step, features. This is very important thing. So that's why for today's discussion, if you have the screen on here, you can see I can say that now there are 9 features because I am having 9 parameters for prediction. So 9 features are there. There are 175 samples because 175 instances are there. Okay, time step I will have to create. This is the complex part, but I will say time step because every day, suppose, so I say that I will have, if any sample I take, suppose 50th sample I take, then at I say 4 time step I will provide. So 50, 51, 52, 54, this data will be the time steps for learning purpose. So network will try to understand what happens in this time step, how the trend is going to be there. Network will try to learn that from the time step, and then it will build its memory for future predictions. This is the meaning. Okay, so all my friends who are here, I am not teaching you, I am just discussing with all of you. So try to, this is your takeaway. If when you if you remember the LSTM, COVID-19 or not, but LSTM works with data like we are having this multi-layer perceptron. All data will have to be given to the input node in a vector. So if you are having image of maybe 10 by 10 what you can say sample. So what do? You convert that image into one dimensional vector of 10 into 10, 100. And then that vector is given to the MLP for training purpose. And then all this training data will be given, yes or no. Similarly, for your LSTM network, you will have to reframe your data. You will have to present the data as, that's why I'm spending more time here. Sample, time step, and features. I will take 15 minutes more if the organizers allow me, because one demo is also there. We had some 5 minutes break it. 5 minutes disturbance was there. So hope it is clear and I'm allowed. Okay. Have you got the thing? Sample time step feature. Okay, I miss now. This is very important part. That's why I spent. Now I will not run that thing for you, but just I will show you that 2 series are there for this series 1, series 2. So these 2 features are generated, and here you can see those who have gone through the Python, that this is a 2-dimensional array. Actually, this is a 2-dimensional array and having 10 samples. Can you see 10 samples? And every sample is having one single time step. Every sample is having one single time step, is mentioned here. And now here you can say that this data is received as, suppose now I'm having for a month of suppose March, this 10 days reading was single reading on Sensex and Nifty is there. So I say that now this is one single reading, but in case of my sample and 10 days are there. Now come to my original, when I say that okay, for month of March, for 4 week I am going to present the data. So I say that for month of March I am having 4 weeks reading. Similar, try to, now this is the analogy. For month of March, this is one single sample. I am having 10 days data. This is the second dimension. Here you can say 10 time step, and I am having two features, Sensex and Nifty. So hope I have correlated. So instead of 4 week, I am having suppose 10 time step. So one sample, 10 time step and two feature. This is the format of the LSTM input. So that's why here you can see LSTM with 32 cells or 32 what you can say neurons, and input shape is time step and features. So such 32 inputs should have to be given. This is one single input. Such 32 inputs, it is not 32, I will say that technically such input will be, so it can be trained on any number of input. It will be given into batch. Even if you have 300, it will take, you will have to train that in batches. So this is the crux of today's discussion, very important thing, because next thing will be based on understanding of this. So with this, let us go ahead with actual demo for this prediction of network. Okay. So now what we'll do, these steps already I have discussed. So we'll be building the environment. So I'm just, this is the last part of today's discussion because it is 12:49. So I thought that I will get time if for this ensemble, but let it be. It will be optional. Okay. So environment creating part is there. Okay. So this environment I have created. Sample time step features we just discussed. Okay. Let us go ahead for the COVID-19 problem. Okay. So here now with the created environment, we go for reading the data. I actually, for this, I am actually reading the data. I will just show you the data, what actually we are reading. It is Excel file. It will plot here. This is the plot of data that we have got. This is a plot of data that we have got. So here we are having this almost 117 approximately inputs are there, and this is the full data. I am using some data for training, some data for testing purpose. Okay, so here you can say that this is the data frame, and as discussed, what features we are using for as input to this thing. Idea is that now we'll have to accordingly convert this data into the sample, time step and feature format. Okay. So scikit-learn library will be using for that reshaping purpose. So here you can say 116 days data and 9 features are there total. So how many samples we are having? 116. How many features we are having? 9 features. Okay. Now let us reshape it for our LST purpose. This is the subroutine I have written. So anyhow, I am going to share this thing with you, those who are interested. Okay. So what this code has done is that this is var1 to var9. Okay. And again here from var1 to var9. So here it is actually shifting. It is actually one step shifted. So for prediction purpose, I will have this input, and for the next, what is the next value? This I have generating. So for all 9 features, one shifted, what you can say prediction I have generated here. Okay, from that for training purpose, here you can see. So that's why 115. So because of shift, now one row they have removed and 18 are there. So one is actual data and one is the for shifted data, which will be used for prediction. So how it is used, I will just show you. I will just show you. So here you can see this is where X data means X input 0 to number of features 9. 0 to 9 I have taken as input training data, and features to features plus 2 means what? First two values which are here, shifted one I have taken for the train for prediction purpose. So technically I am taking this where one to these two columns, this column and this column, for prediction purpose. Okay, so that's why you will have input x as 159 features, and it will be predicting first two columns means what? It will be predicting this part, global confirm and global death part. Okay, so here, yeah. So now this is training and testing split. 20% data I'm taking for training purpose, testing purpose. Okay, next. Here, this is split sequence is used to generate the, remember, sample, time step and features. So what I am doing, I am taking two time step for training purpose. So what it will do, for every sample like this first sample I am taking, so it will generate pair, now first and second, third and fourth, or third, second and third and fourth and fifth kind of thing. And so earlier I had 92 and 9. This was the dimension for training purpose. For those who are getting here, you can see now two time steps are there. So now I am having 90 sample. Every sample is having two time step and 9 features. This is sample time step features. Very important part. All LSTMs, they will have similar kind of data formatting. This is the simplest one we are taking for the demo purpose. So very important part. You can have the heartbeat. You can say that our heartbeat or brain activity, whatever number of features they will come here, and for 10 days heartbeat, what you can say average heartbeat I am going to predict. So that 10 samples will come here. 90 people's data, 10 days data with 2 features. For I just giving example of biomedical one. That's what just that will relate to you. So this part is very crucial. Remaining else is just training and other purpose. So how it came from 92 what you can say samples and 9 feature to 90 sample, 2 time step and 9 feature. This is critical part. This is where the LSTM, because this is the normal data, and here this is the LSTM formatted data. Okay, rest things similarly I did for testing. So here you can see number of samples 90, number of time step, and step 2 number of features 9, and how many outputs are there? 2 outputs. With this here, that's why you can number of step, time step features it will take, and your neurons, I'm taking 100 neurons. So typical idea is that whatever your input data is there, more number of neurons you take. So you can say if I'm giving 92 as input time step, I'm taking 100 neurons. Remember that RNN cells which are going to take the input one after other. So yes, so let us define the network. Yeah, so our network is defined here. I will just try to plot it for you and just if possible, because it will give you how the network look like. I will just try to plot it. Just give me, it needs a library. Plot one. Yeah. If it works, so that we can actually visualize. Yeah, here you can see. Now you can this how this network looks. So this is just a representation. You can see the flow representation. So we are having the input layer with it will take 2 time step and 9 features. We are having the hidden layers. 2 hidden layers are there. Okay, and then output layer. Here you can say which is dense, and it will give 2 output. It will always predict next 2 values for you. So this is the network that we have built. So let us, sorry. Yeah. Let me build a network again. Yeah. This is the one, because here batch size is defined here. Yeah, so So this network is being trained with 200 epochs. So here you can see now the network is learning, and then this is the those how this network has, this loss has reduced. Still there is a training loss. This is the training and testing loss is there. You can say training and validation loss. Now this is not relevant. Yeah, this is relevant. Evaluation and predicting. So XT. Now what is there out of this 90, 92 sample onwards? I'm giving input and I'm asking what is the prediction? What is the next step? And let us see what network says here. This is the explore graph. I will just finally I will put that graph. Yeah, here the upper code was just to predict, and here you can see we gave till 90, here it is 100 here. So this data, this is the actual value, and this is the value which is predicted by network. Network says that okay, based on whatever things you give, I think that the cases will be here. Here you can say these are the global, what you can say, confirmed cases the network has predicted. This is the prediction from the network. Okay, so now today almost 1 o'clock. This one full LSTM part is over here. Just I wanted to now this how this I have done this, how to improve the performance. So there are possibilities where this here actually you can see that actual cases and how the network has predicted that cases point is here. Now we can go for stateful and stateless implementation. What happens that when any network is there, this LSTM network, there are states which are associated. State means the weights and other things which are associated with it. So how that states are resetted, it will define the performance of that. So by default, after every batch, so what is batch? Here, while training, we specified the batch. This is the input batch. Here, while training, here, 5 sample will be given to the network. Here you can say batch size. So this after every batch, it is going to by default reset the network state. So if we can modify, I will just take 10 minutes more so that I will show you the performance. Anyhow, it is almost time 1 o'clock. We used to I was supposed to end that thing. I will just take 5 to 7 minutes more. Briefly I will discuss so all these things yes, I will go through fast, and because majority steps are same, it is repeated. Just training. Yeah. So here you can see that this is the stateful implementation of the network. So again, it is a what you can say stateful equal to stateful, and stateful is the flag by default true, and we are defining the network with hidden layers. And what is happening is that when customize solution, after rather than resetting, here you can see rather than resetting after every batch, we are resetting after 25 epochs. And then we try to understand what is the what you can say nature of the output prediction. So this network is now being trained for the stateful mode. Everything is running on Google Cloud. Still now with these TPUs, and you can see how much computing intensive work is there. This is the prediction part. I will let me overlay for you final. Yeah. Yeah, this is the final. So earlier was what you can say conventional LSTM, but now we added the stateful parameter to this, and because of that now here you can see now these are the new predictions here. So These are, you can see the actual values are here and predicted values are here as compared to the previous one, previous 19 values. So yes, then actually as more and more parameters, now it will take time, but I will show you the final results. Here you can say, once all full, what you can say, peaks are implemented, network is almost predicting the actual values. Based on the past value, the actual values are predicted by this LSTM network. So yes, after this ensemble part, I wanted to discuss, but time is very less. Almost now things are whatever the topic of today's discussion that we have actually covered. So using long short-term memory network for COVID-19 impact prediction. And here, based on the past data, it has predicted accurately the cases which are going to occur in the future. And this we can take for our, what you can say, finding our policy and kind of thing, and designing the policies and future steps for combating and fighting with this pandemic. So this is just example I took as a case study, but you can use this thing for any kind of medical or statistical or stock market or any kind of problem where sequence data will come and we'll have to process the sequence data. Just concludingly, I will tell you that remember LSTM works on sample, time steps and features. If you can get this concept, you can use this what you can say models for predicting any kind of data, work with any kind of data. So here I conclude my presentation. I thank all of you for your patient listening. If you have any question, I am ready. I will try my best to answer your doubts. So if you have any doubts or question, you can ask, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this informative session. Thank you, sir. So I have a few questions in my chat box. So can I proceed, sir?
Yes, yes, madam. Please proceed, because now I will not read that. Maybe relevance-wise, you can proceed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we use LSTM only for time series data?
Yes, madam. Technically, LSTM time series data means sequential data, you can say. Sequential data means, for example, translation from Marathi to English. So if I have this data which is on the page or some type written data is there, technically you cannot say that it is time series for, because all the data is there on the page. But when I will give the data to the LSTM, I will give it as one character by character or sentence by sentence. So it becomes time series for that network. So technically the data which is having sequential dependency, you can use LSTM there. Sequential dependency. So be it time series or be it any kind of data, you can always use it for the prediction. I will just give you example why it is there. So some of my student, even implementations are there. The students people are using this LSTM for predicting the content of an image. Predicting the content of an image. So suppose one person, you are having a photograph of a person who is sitting on horse and is wearing hat. And if you give this data to the MLP, and MLP identifies the object, okay, horse, person, man, horse, man, and a hat. So if you give this horse, man, hat, grass, maybe as input to the sequence, this LSTM, and if you have trained LSTM with the literature that man is sitting on horse, like this, a lot number of texts are which are relevant text, in LSTM can actually predict person sitting on horse wearing hat, like this thing. So it will generate from this object description of that image, like this thing. So this is the idea. You can use LSTM for any kind of input which is having sequential dependency. Hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So one question I will just answer directly. What is your TensorFlow version? Here this latest TensorFlow, that is 2.2.3 is used. Yeah. So next question, madam, if you have anything in your
yes, sir. A few more are there, but yes, I think that is already answered by you in the session and in the demo also. Okay. So I will skip it.
Now I am also monitoring chat. If anyone wants to ask a specific question, I think you can ask. I can directly answer here.
Yes, sir. So participants are requested to ask the question directly.
how to decide number of hidden layers? Yes, this is very important question asked by the Devendra Ingale sir. Devendra Ingale sir, yes. How to define the number of hidden layers? See, what is happening is that these hidden layers, there is no directly or straightforward formula. First of all, those who have worked in this, what you can say, deep learning part, they know this thing. Okay, so what happens that this is a trial and error method. Always there is a trial and error method. So initially, always start with lesser number of layers. So what happens that when you increase the number of hidden layers, you can even add 100 layers also. The training will take time, and after a certain level, the output starts degrading. So technically, I will say that there is something called a Newton-Raphson method. So you start with one initial count of 1 or 2 hidden layers. Then if you say that your output is in the what you can say, this I follow, and there might be some empirical formula also, but technically I follow this thing. Start with lower, least possible layers, 1, 2, or 3. That is, I start generally with 2 layers. Here I implement a network with 2 layers. You could see that thing. So if you think that, okay, I want to improve the performance and I want to add more layers, so next you add which start with 4 or 5 layers. So you say that performance increase, fine. Otherwise, I'll say 4 layers. So like this thing, you will go on adding or removing layers. Okay, and I will just show you, just briefly show you how to add or remove layer. Those who know, you might know this thing. Just let me present and share entire screen. Yeah, for this session only here. Yeah, for those who are interested, I will just add one layer. Hope this network is still live. Yeah, so we just did this thing with 2 layers. You can this plot is still live. 2 layers are there. I will add one more layer here. So already the layer was here. Just say. So now one layer is added. So here you can see now 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. How I added this thing? Here you can see. Just I copied this code was there, and one layer was added. And if I try to again now fit, now just I am training the network, performance will definitely change. And just observe that because of the addition of the network, now the training time has increased. Yeah, the network is trained. Now this graph will show you the performance. Now here you can see the gap between the training and testing loss has reduced because of the addition of the layer. So let us predict that. This is for, see, for LSTM, this accuracy part is not relevant. I'll just, for those who are, it will come later on. Prediction accuracy and loss, it will come there. Yeah. So let us overlay it on actual values as. So this is the previous one, and just let me plot with the latest one. Here you can say, here you can see, there is now actual values and the values. The gap is much less, and because of this addition of the layers, the performance or the prediction of the network is quite improved. Okay, so that's why it is what you can say for to answer this question, how to decide number of hidden layers. You will have to experiment. With experimentation, you will come to know not only layers. Try to understand the optimizer, the batch size, the number of epochs. All these things will decide the overall performance. So that is called as hyperparameter tuning. That concept is called as hyperparameter tuning, and this is on its own. It is a what you can say. Tell me batch size, sir. Okay, I will tell you. Okay, so first answering this thing, what is the batch size? If okay, hope I'm getting the question right. Tell me batch size. So here, relevance of batch size or batch size. So what is happening here? You can see we are having this data, this 115 days data is there, and this data I want to give it for the training, give it for the training purpose. So what happens that I have to give how many samples? 115 samples are there. I can give 115 also sample, but for better training of the network, what concept is there? The concept of batch size. So where this batch size is coming, here you can see, here batch size section comes. So what I say that out of this 115, when I say I want to train the network, I'll just, sorry, I was not sharing, just let me share, just share the screen to make you understand. Yeah. So here, yeah. So I hope it is on the screen. With the same network we design, okay, same network. Now what I say is that here you can see, I'll just show you again. This is the first 5 samples of my what you can say data, which is going to be given for the training purpose. As such, 115 samples are there. So what I say, either you can give all these 115, but these are our sequential networks are there. We are even talking about the sequence data. So batch size will tell that out of this 115, take 5 sample at a time. So we train this network with batch size as 5. I will increase this thing to batch size of train, and let us see what difference it makes on the performance. This is not time step. Time step is different. Now these 10 samples are given at a time when network is trained in every epoch. So 10 samples are there. So 115 are there. So such 115 divided by 10 means around approximately 11 11 times it will run. 11 times it will run. Okay, sorry, not 115, because now you can, why 7 out of 7 you can say, because there are 80, 85 or 87 were there. So that's why 7 times it is running. 0 to 7, 8 times. So here you can say 7 out of 7. And now let us see what effect of the change of batch. It will definitely change, because every small change that you make in the hyperparameters of the network, it will technically the loss will be different. I will then let us plot it on actual. So this is the older one plot. Let us plot on actual. Yeah, here you can see when I increase the batch size, again the loss has increased. Okay, so we can change with the, we can go with the different batch size. So in order to answer this question concludingly, batch size will tell out of available samples in every, what you can say, iteration, data should be given in what you can say number of count. So I say that batch size of 10. So 10 samples will be given to the network in a given point of time. If I say 5 batch size, in 5 samples will be given to this network. Yeah. Any
Yes,
other
sir.
question? Any other question?
Yes, sir. Yes. No, sir. Now everything is covered.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So with this answer, we are at the question answer session end. So I, Dr. Sakshi Paithane, take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to Dr. Vinayak Baradi, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you.
And the session was very interesting and valuable takeaways about the LSTM that you have provided. Thank you very much, sir. Looking forward for in future the communication with you for our RSUA student also.
Yes, madam.
Thank you very much, sir.
Just see my email ID I have put on chat. You may note it
Yes, sir.
down. Anyhow, I am just here only. I will do that. The presentation right now I will share. Everyone publicly and directly file from my computer. I am giving here my file here only. Just a minute. I'm getting that file so that things will close. Yeah. Yeah, so I have uploaded this LSTM FDP PPT also. For those who are interested, they can go through this. And if you are interested further, then maybe you can mail me. I have already shared my email ID. So if you have any doubt, or maybe if you want some that code snippets, I will share on that email. Okay. So but just be specific when you are requesting what kind of thing or kind of code you want.
Yes, sir.
I will share that thing. So PPT I already shared, email I have shared. So thank you, madam. Thank you all the organizers, and I wish very best luck for the future sessions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Okay. Should I end this session? Should I leave the
Yes,
meeting?
sir.
May I leave? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please, sir. Okay.
Yeah, Abdul.
Yes, he's
Yeah, he
asking
asked
for
the
code,
code.
sir.
So please request me on the email ID what code you want. I will share the code also. Okay, means LSTM code or maybe training code, or I will share. Okay, okay. What I will do, madam, because code individually will not work. I will now whatever I have implemented here, na, I will share this.
Yes.
Right now, I am downloading this IPyNB so that even the training data also I will share. Those who are, just let me share that also. Yeah. So I am sharing the code also for those who want. Yeah, this is the IPyNB file, Google Colab compatible. So this file I have shared. It will need, you will need the data, training data also, because you might not, you will not have access to my, what you can say, Google repository. So I will give that data also, just so that if you want to run on your own, you can run that. Even without Google Colab also it will run. Just give me a minute. Compile UV. Yeah. Okay, so if you know Python, and if you are using Google Jupyter notebooks, then you can use these two codes. Okay. I have organizer, madam, Sakshi madam,
Yes, sir.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
Sakshi. See some
Yes, sir.
PPT, some people this they are asking where is the PPN code. So hope you are getting this file. Maybe you
Yes,
can
sir. Yes, sir.
download this file. Three
Definitely.
files
Yes,
are
sir.
there, and then you can mail to all this no, this CSV file
Yes,
is
we are
there.
sharing on the folder, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So 1, 2, 3 files you can download and share them. Okay. So all the
Yes, sir.
participants, maybe now they are asking, they are giving their email ID. Yeah. So please download, or maybe the
Yes,
organizers
yes.
they will share. So now everything
Yes, sir.
related to this presentation I have shared. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. Yes, madam. Thank you. Thank you. I'm leaving
Yes.
now. Okay. Bye.
Yes. Okay. So participants are requested to join the next session at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.